Hello, what's up people? This is Martin446 today with a figure comparison for you guys. Today's figure comparison, we will having a look at Mcfarlane Toys Maniac Series 6, the Neca, I'm sorry, not the Neca, but the Mcfarlane Predator 2 City Hunter Predator, and on the Neca Toys R Us exclusive 2-pack from 2011, we will having a look at the City Hunter Predator from Predator 2 with bio helmet. Yet again, a figure comparison on Neca against Mcfarlane. Being the fact that my previous video was a Neca against Mcfarlane, I just thought to myself that these two figures would be a comparison as well. Here we have, of course, the very old, I think 6 years old, the City Hunter from Mcfarlane and the City Hunter from Neca, which almost released 1 year ago. I would like to do a figure comparison on these two figures. So let's get started. So here we have the Mcfarlane Toys Maniac Series 6 Predator from Predator 2, also known as the City Hunter Predator. One funny story about this figure is back in the past, when I was starting to be a Predator fan really around 2008. 2008 was the year of Alien vs Predator in my life. Of course, being the fact that Alien vs Predator Requiem came out, the fact that right after that the movie came on TV, and I actually never saw Alien vs Predator back in that time because yeah, I don't know. But back in that time, I was really impressed about the Alien movies. I was loving these Alien movies, and I was, you know, very excited to see Alien vs Predator. And when I saw it, I was really starting to be a fan. And around January, I was starting to be a really, you know, a collector on figures like this. And back in the time, this figure right here was my holy grail. Because back in the past, there was one of those Predator figures which was very rare, and if you finally found it on the internet, it was very expensive. Same with the Alien vs Predator figures, but that was the figure I really wanted back in the past. And I actually finally get this figure on my hands around, yes, it was March 2011. March 2011. So actually I've waited, I think, 3 years to finally get this figure in my hands. Back in the time, but I got this figure with the entire set. If you follow me on YouTube, I do have the entire series of Maniac Series 6, and I already reviewed all of them. So if you want to see those, click here. But that was one of those figures I really want to have my hands on. I wanted this figure so badly into my collection, but of course later on, Predator Series 1 of Neca came out, which I was very impressed with, and later on other Predators. I was kind of forgetting this one, but when I was searching on Marktplaats, the eBay version of the Netherlands, I was seeing this entire set, Maniac Series 6, for only 60 bucks, 60 euros, and I sent the message, a message as soon as possible, and I actually bought the entire set for only 60 euros, which is very cool. But get away off topic here. This is a nice figure, gotta say. This is a nice figure. I gotta say, one of my favorite Predators released by Mcfarlane. And the reason why is, in my personal preference, he stands up really well. I like the mask. I actually like the mask. There isn't much detail going on in the mask, but the way it's sculpted, it really brings Predator 2 into the figure. It's a little dark, I'm sorry, but I really like the mask. The dreadlocks are, you know, kind of clumped together, but they're looking okay. They're pretty cool. And I just really like this figure. The body sculpt is very nice as well. Maybe it's a little too skinny for a Predator, but I like it. I actually like it. The armoring is it's dark, it's very dark, very common in Predator 2. It doesn't have the, it doesn't have the very copperish color of Predator 2. You can see it around the shoulder right here. You can actually see some, you know, the very bronze copper coloring on the shoulder right here. There is some damage on the Predator as well, and I gotta say, I'm very impressed with the blood. Still today, I'm very impressed with the blood. And I will talk about later about that when I come to accessories wise and all kinds of stuff. Nice looking legs, actually, very nicely sculpted. Actually really like the shin guards. And the feet are also very nicely detailed, especially about the bottom. Really like that. One of the main things I found that was really cool about this Predator is still to this day, this is the only Predator 7-inch figure that has a removable mask. And you can actually see a back in the day a very nicely sculpted face of the Predator. Of course, we have Neca now. I will talk about it later, but I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with the face. It brings Predator 2 in you. Maybe the dreads are looking a little off with the hair. You know, they're supposed to be more like bigger and wider, but it isn't too bad. I like the very nice glossy finish on the figure. You can't really see his eyes because you know the background is a little dark, but you can really see the blackest theme in their eyes, which is in my opinion a must-have in a Predator. I love Predators when they have these very cool, you know, the blackest theme around their eyes. Of course, the mandibles are kind of opened, closed. Of course, there was another version released about, you know, a few years ago about Mcfarlane, which had a unmasked face and a extendable spear, which I managed to have back in 2008. I was very glad to have that one. No, I'm sorry, 2009. Apologies. But getting the mask on. In a way of its articulation, for Mcfarlane, this figure is really nicely articulated. I love the articulation about this one. There's one part I'm a little iffy about, but he does have a pin and socket head, so you can move the head up and down and side to side, which is very nice. The dreadlocks aren't that hindering. You gotta be a little bit careful on the mask because the mask has a little tube right here. So if you do twist it, it can actually snap off. But so you also have the pin and socket head. One thing that's very impressive with the Mcfarlane figures, he does have inner shoulder articulation. It's very cool. It continues on articulation in the shoulder. There's a ball joint. There's a rotation in the bicep. And now there's the articulation I'm a little iffy about. Now, not iffy, but a little, not too bad, could have been better. He does have only a rotation in the elbow, which is common in Mcfarlane toys. You know, it's a swivel, it's Neca Cult Classic style. Back in the day, all these sorts of action figures did not have a hinge at the elbow, they only have a twist. Which, you know, it doesn't suffer the sculpt, but if you turn it too much, it does look a little off. But, not too bad. Also the wrist blades, of course, are removable, which is a must-have in a Predator figure. The wrist blades, I like them. One of the biggest issues I do have with this one, they're very, very fragile. They're really fragile. When I had the unmasked version of this one in the mail, I was playing around with the wrist blades, and they immediately snapped right off. And I kind of pissed about that because I had to wait I think 3 weeks when I actually had this at home, not this, but the other one at home, and already this wrist blade can snap off, which is a bummer, but not too bad. These ones are not sturdy, but they didn't manage to break off, which is lucky though. There's a rotation in the wrist. The abdomen is very nice articulated. He can kind of swivel at the top of the mid-torso. Although also there's a mid-torso crunch. There's a rotation in the waist. The legs are on a ball joint, which is very cool. You can rotate the thigh. You can bend at the knee. And you can bend at the foot. Also can rotate it side to side. That's certainly, for Mcfarlane toys, loads and loads of articulation. Accessory wise, it comes of course with the removable mask, the wrist plates, and it also comes with a smart disc right here. Nicely detailed, I like it. It doesn't have too much color around, but you know, it's a disc of Predator 2. Also there's a holster right here. It's a little hard, you know, it's for the first time it's very hard to put this in the holster, but you can actually manage to do that. Because on the bottom there's a little, you know, a little clip right here, and there's a little hole right there. So you want to put this right in here so it kind of sticks right there. You can also hold the disc, being the fact this is kind of a gripping hand. It's got a hold a second, and here you go. Now the Predator has a holding disc. Of course, it came with the plasma caster right here. Design-wise, it's very different if you compare it to the other Predators. Of course, the backpack of Predator 1, the very huge shoulder cannons of the Alien vs Predator versions. Not the second one, but the very first Alien vs Predators had these very large shoulder cannons. But this one has this very small arm-locking shoulder cannon, which is very cool. I do have a little problem with the shoulder cannon, and that's being the fact it's very, very loose. Right here, it's very, very loose and very flimsy. What I always do is, when I have it right here, I will stick the hair between the arm of the shoulder cannon so it doesn't fall back. And now you have the Predator with the shoulder cannon. Also, the shoulder cannon is a little bit movable on the top right here. One of the coolest accessories in my opinion is the removable arm gimmick. Not really, you know, it's kind of a gimmick, so you can remove the arm. And now you have a battle damaged Predator, because back in the film, if you see the movie, the City Hunter lost his right arm. Well, I'm sorry, his left arm. Because Danny Glover took the disc and slid off his arm. And I really like the detail of the blood. Of course there's two packs because of this right here, but I really like the blood. They did a really good job with the paint on the blood. Looks very, very cool. It really looks like Jesus Christ, Predator blood. This green, yellow type-ish light looking blood. So the Predator from Predator 2 made by Mcfarlane is in my opinion a really good Predator. I actually really enjoy this figure a lot. Still to this day, I really like this figure a lot. Back in the day, it was probably my favorite Predator in my collection around 2008. Just loved it, loved this design, really liked this articulation and the gimmicks and kinds of stuff. And really loved the fact that he has a removable mask. But maybe there is a little hiccup here and there, but all around, for Mcfarlane Toys, this is a really well done figure. The best way to pick up this figure is, yes, it's probably eBay. Because it's an older figure and out of shelves and kinds of stuff. Maybe if you're lucky you can find him in a comic store, but the best way is eBay. Let's take a look at the Neca version. So here we have the Neca Toys R Us exclusive City Hunter with bio helmet. If you saw my initial review about this one, still today, it's probably my favorite Predator action figure in my collection. I just love the design, I love the body sculpt, I love the articulation and the accessories that he comes with. And this is just all in all a fantastic figure. Let's focus on the mask first. Neca did of course a terrific job with the mask. It's bronze, it really brings Predator 2 a little bit more than the Mcfarlane version. Oh no, I really like that one. But this one actually kind of blows it out of the water. Not blows out around the water, but it's better in my opinion. The shape, it's way more realistic. The paints and the detail actually they put in is, I think, much better, and overall execution is really great. One thing I really like about this one, it's such a small detail, but It's a small detail, but they actually bring, you know, this kind of really cool detail into the lenses. If you look at it really good, that's right here. You can actually put, you know, the very kind of details into the lenses, which I really like. Also, paint is very different on his body than the Mcfarlane version. You can see the netting, which is very nicely done. You got this very nice, you know, this very glossy looking finish on his body, which really gives a very realistic tone. On your legs it continues as well. Right here. Especially on the body, it looks very cool. The armoring is a lot more detailed. A lot more lighter, well, a little bit more lighter as well, but it's certainly a lot more detailed. You can see the gauntlet right here, or I think it's a gauntlet, yes, a gauntlet or a vambrace. Get a control panel, which is very cool. The very Predator 2 designed armor on the City Hunter because it's the main Predator of the movie. You can see the wrist plates, which are much nicer. I mean really much nicer than the Mcfarlane version. Of course, they are extendable with a much greater length, and they look also very sharp as well, which is very cool. You can of course see his disc belt right here. His holster for his disc. The shin guards, which are very common in Predator 2, with the knee pads. And just very large looking feet. Also, the paint on the feet is a lot more different if you compare to the, hold a second, to the Mcfarlane version. Also, the size is a lot more different, which is funny. But just an absolutely a fantastic figure. Articulation wise, this Predator has amazing articulation. It is not, you know, the Neca Cult Classics articulation we had in the past. Neca is doing much more, you know, much more detail in articulation and, you know, with paint. Everything is going to be, everything, you know, everything is going better with Neca, which is amazing. Speaking of articulation, there is articulation in the head as a ball joint. So you can move the head up and down, side to side. You know, side to side, you can tilt it all the way around. He does have a ball jointed shoulder. There's articulation in the elbow. You can rotate it, also bend it up and down, which is very surprising. You know, not really right now, but it's very amazing to see a Predator have a articulated elbow, because since Predator Series 1 came out, those were the very first Predator figures that had articulated elbows. If compared to the Wolf Predator, he had only a swivel in the bicep. Going to the rest of the articulation, he has a ball jointed hand. He does have a ball jointed waist, which you can also rotate. The legs are a beauty. They're on a pin socket / ball joint, so you can move them back and forth, in and out. You can rotate the thigh. He does have not one, but double jointed knees. Very cool. And he has a ball jointed foot. Accessory wise on this one comes with a lot more. Of course, it comes with the wrist blade. It comes with a very cool little plasma caster, which is a little smaller than the Mcfarlane version. But this one is a little bit more, it looks a little more realistic, and it's a little bit more detailed. Looking very cool. It's articulated on the top, on the ball joint. You can put it back right here. So the shoulder cannon is a little closer right now. And of course, it came with a disc, which is a little more smaller than the Mcfarlane version, but there's a little bit more detail and color on the Neca version. Right here. It's kind of the same, but it's a little bit more detailed. The belt also inside is a lot more detailed inside right here. To put the disc in the holster, it's pretty simple right here. The only problem that people have with the disc is the fact that the disc is falling out very often. On this one, it's not, you know, on mine it's not really that the problem, but on the Boar Predator, which I have right there, it happens very often. But it's okay. Other accessories, he came with the human trophy skull, which is very nicely detailed. You can see all the details and weather and tear into the skull right here. It's the same like the San Diego Comic-Con 2011 version with the gore predator, but this one is unbloodied. It also came with the Berserker trophy skull, which you can also open and close at the mouth, which is very neat. Of course, Neca rocks with the detail into this figure. Now, well, accessory. It really looks like bone, so they did actually a very good job with it. It came also with a collapsed spear and a swappable hand, so you can hold the spear. Right there, looking very cool. You can see some details inside of the spear. And of course he came with the extended version, looking very cool and very long as well. Still love the Neca one, and still it is my favorite Predator in my collection. And I think this one takes the cake a little bit more, but again, it doesn't say that this one isn't a bad figure. Also, the Neca ones is a little bit more easy to find. Well, it's on a 2-pack. Well, actually, the 2-packs I think are sold out around the US and kinds of stuff. But in my actually local comic store, they're still around. This one is way more expensive if you follow on eBay, especially on eBay. Sometimes it goes up around 80, 70, 100 bucks. But I actually recommend them both. If you really are into I want all the Predator 2 figures, I would say pick up them both. If you are like I want the best of the two, I would say this one. Because he has more detail, more articulation, and he has more movie accuracy kind of stuff. And the Mcfarlane version, it's still movie accurate, the Mcfarlane version. Maybe if you want to comment down below which is your favorite of the two, or if you really like them both. I will be very pleased if you share your comments into the comment decision. But there was again a toy comparison from March 2046. And I'll see you guys next time with another review. Later!